Ever since I was a child, I've always had a fear of dolls. Some may call it irrational, but I didn't care. I knew why I was afraid. I knew what they were. Stitched on button eyes with sewn mouths, porcelain painted faces with glossy eyes. They had eyes that blinked and wandered, mouths that spoke and responded, ears that listened, and they reacted to the sound of a known voice or a familiar name. It's a cold night tonight, downright freezing, honestly. I could blame my inability to sleep as of late on the weather, but I know that would just be a lie. I can't sleep because of her, or well, it would be a better term, but I never use it to refer to her. She always seemed more human than doll. I know dolls don't have genders, and then again, dolls aren't supposed to be living, but they are. This one is anyway, and has been ever since I can remember. It was my sister's birthday. She was turning 7 years old, and porcelain dolls had always been her favorite. But this year, she wanted to go for something vintage, an antique. She wanted a Raggedy Ann doll. They weren't hard to come by. Every thrift store in America probably had at least one, with online shopping only making it easier in later years. I still remember the way my sister's eyes lit up like fireworks when my mother pulled that doll out of the brown paper bag they had concealed her in. I also remember the way my stomach sank and turned, like I ate something rotten and foul. I had an overwhelming urge to vomit, but I couldn't. The sound of the room draining that night, but I remember my mother's voice breaking through when she was telling my father the doll was indeed thrift store bought. Anne had a drawn-on mouth with little dimples on each side, stitched on button black eyes with a red button nose to accompany it. "So what are you going to name her?" my mother asked. Her voice and my sister's again began to drown out. I couldn't take my eyes off that doll. I felt her the entire dinner staring at me. No, not staring at me, staring into me. I couldn't finish eating that night. I pushed my plate away, took a sip of my drink, and left, isolating myself to my room. The nightmare I had that night has never left me. It was a horrifying experience, and I still wonder, was it truly a dream? I was in bed, my eyes open, and the moonlight shining into my room from my window. The moonlight was shining on a chair in the corner, just beside the closet. I blinked, and the chair got closer and closer. By the time the chair was right in my feet, Anne was sitting in it, rocking back and forth, the moonlight cascading across her black button eyes and her falsely innocent smile. I tried to move, but I couldn't. I tried to breathe, but I felt my lungs were being choked. I closed my eyes again, telling myself that this was irrational, that this wasn't happening, that the doll wasn't alive. But when I opened my eyes, the doll was no longer in the chair. Anne was sitting on me, staring down at me. Her face contorted into a horrifying grin, teeth shone through, jagged and sharp, as she lunged down to bite my neck. And then I awoke. It was morning now, and the chair was against the wall by the closet door, just as it had been, with no sign of Anne and no marks on my body. It was a reoccurring nightmare for the entire remainder of my childhood. The first one that night, though, was the most vivid and real. I left home a few years later, about the time my sister was turning 13. Anne had been placed in our attic a year prior, but the nightmares, they still occurred. I live alone now. A small place, but usually cozy. I guess you can say I've moved on. The nightmares are no longer constant, and I was feeling better. That was until a few nights ago. The nightmares came back more vivid than ever. I'm afraid now that if I sleep, my question of whether or not the dream truly is a dream will be answered, and I'll be dead. Walking out of my bedroom, I go to the bathroom adjacent to my room, and I flick on the light. The door was cracked open and the light dimly lit up the hallway too. I pause, looking at myself in the mirror. I was exhausted. I looked like it too. I fill up a glass sitting next to the sink with water and drink it. I grip the bathroom countertop with my hands, staring at the floor as I try to calm myself down. I look back up, and out of the corner of the mirror, I see something scurry past the bathroom door. I jump back in surprise, assuming someone had broken into the apartment. I lived in one of the nicest neighborhoods in the city, though a break-in was very uncommon here. I walk towards the door, reaching out for the handle, but I pause. That feeling, that uneasy feeling, the night my sister got Anne, I was feeling it again, an intense feeling of fear, a feeling like death lingered in the air. I slowly wrapped my hand around the bronze-colored doorknob to my bathroom, pulling it open. My bedroom door was half open. I see candlelight burning through the open crack. I put one palm on the door. My heart has jumped in my throat, and I push the door open. There on the bed is Anne, dirty and tattered. One button that was her eyes missing, and the stitching on her arm is ripped. She has a note folded and lying against her body. I crept over to her, my legs feeling like jelly, and I knew any second I would surely fall. I reach out, my clammy hands grabbing the note from her lap. I flip it open, and the only thing on the note is the words, "Miss me." The note falls from my hands onto the floor. I swallow, close my eyes and tell myself this is only a dream. My eyes open as Anne's head begins to turn. She looks at me and smiles, her jagged teeth just as sharp as ever.